Hello, once again, thank you for coming to join with us on Foundations of Truth, the Bible Speaks. I am Stan Schmidt, your host and your teacher for this lesson today, and we welcome you to join with us in this important study. Welcome to Foundations of Truth, the Bible Speaks, which is a Bible-based channel providing scriptural insights into the structure, the origin, and progression of God's eternal plan for Israel, his chosen people, and the Gentile world, which in God's grace is grafted into the eternal blessing prepared for all who will believe. Our hearty greetings and thanks for choosing to join with us again in this important opportunity. Daniel's vision, the four beasts, chapter 7, which is lesson number 8 in Foundations for Truth. In Daniel chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6, we find the accounts of much which describes the self-serving decrees of the king and the obvious godly character exhibited by Daniel and his three cohorts, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, as they were found to disobey the edicts of the king designed to trap these four Hebrew captives. We read of Daniel surviving a night in a den of hungry lions, and the casting of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into a superheated fiery furnace, and coming out without so much as smell of smoke upon them. God was obviously protecting his servants he has allowed to be captives of the Babylonian Empire for the prophesied 70 years. Now, beginning in chapter 7, we will begin our 8th lesson, Foundations of Truth, lesson 8, which will address the vision Daniel had in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. This vision has to do with four beasts rising out of the sea, which directly correlate with our chart and the dream of Nebuchadnezzar we have included in lesson 7, and also near the close of this lesson. In Daniel chapter 7, verse 1, we see the introduction to the vision. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions in his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and wrote the sum of the matters. This vision came to Daniel after the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, but before the Babylonian Empire was conquered by the Medo-Persian Empire. Daniel chapters 1 through 6 describe the life and times of Daniel. Chapters 7 through 12 describe visions Daniel had in order of the events. The vision described in chapter 7 took place during the time between Daniel's chapter 4 and 5. The first vision, the first of four found in Daniel chapter 7 through 12, was the most comprehensive and the one described in this lesson. The other three visions go into greater detail within the general framework of this first vision. In Daniel 7, 2, verse 3, verse 2 and 3, the four beasts and where they came from. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. Daniel here describes most certainly the Mediterranean Sea. Each one of the empires mentioned in the vision had a geographical location or connection to the Mediterranean Sea. The term strove, or to stir up, has the idea of chaos and tumult. To the Hebrews, the sea was both dangerous and mysterious, a restless element, but not beyond the power of God to tame it. The sea is also often used as a picture of the Gentile nations. The four great beasts came up from the sea. In Daniel's vision, four large, ferocious animal forms emerged from the great sea, each one different and distinct from the others. In Daniel 7, verse 4 through 6, a description of the first three beasts. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. The world empire of Nebuchadnezzar, as in the great giant image head of gold, as in Daniel chapter 2, verses 37 through 38, thou, O king, art a king of kings. For the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power and strength and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given unto thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art the head of gold. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. As in Daniel 2 and verse 39, and after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And verse 6, the kingdom of Greece under Alexander the Great. Great history tells us about Alexander. And this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. And as in Daniel chapter 10, verse 20, and Daniel 11, verse 2 through 4, then said he, Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now I will return to fight with the king of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. And in Daniel 11, verse 2 through 4, and now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all, and by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. In Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7, we discover the world empire of the Romans, the Roman Empire, which was in power as Jesus was on this earth. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. In Daniel chapter 7, verse 23 and 24, and Daniel chapter 2, verses 40 to 43, thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth. Let's remember that here, these mentions are of the days and the times of the Gentiles, during which time the nation of Israel will be ruled by Gentile kings and Gentile nations. He said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And the 4th kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the foot were part of iron and part of clay, so shall the kingdom be partly strong and partly broken. We will learn that these 10 toes are the 10 kings which shall arise out of the nation of Rome, out of the old Roman Empire, and in the latter days will be rising again to come into power. And you'll find that these 10 kings are of the part of iron and part of clay. They will be independent nations, but yet will be tied together in a loose confederation, very similar to what we see today in the nations of Europe, the European nations. In chapter 7 of Daniel 8, verse 8, the 10 kings and the little horn. This is a very important part. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. In chapter 7, verses 23 and 27, the 10 kings are identified. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse to all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the saints of the highest, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Here we see the chart that we brought in last week. We see the great image showing the head of gold. And we find the chest and our arms are silver. Babylon is the head of gold. The chest of arms of silver are the Medes and the Persians. We find the belly and thighs of bronze is Greece. And then the 2 legs representing the eastern and western divisions of the Roman Empire. And we see the feet of iron and clay. Then we see on the right-hand side the 4 beasts of this lesson. We find the lion with eagle's wings is representative again of Babylon. The bear raised on one side with 3 ribs is the chest and arms of silver and the Medes and the Persians. We find then the leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings is the nation of Greece under Alexander the Great. When it ended, she gave it over, or it was given over to 4 different generals, which became the leaders of 4 separate nations. Then the legs of iron the dreadful and terrible beast with 10 horns, representing the Roman Empire, and then the feet of iron and clay, representing the 10 nations that we'll be talking about. The side notes of introduction to Daniel chapter 9, before our next lesson, which will be number 9, which will involve a study of Daniel's vision of the 70 weeks. From what we have seen so far in our study of the little horn, we know that he is to rise out of the 10 horns of the fourth wild beast. We also know that the fourth beast represents the Roman Empire, and that of those 10 horns which represent 10 kingdoms. 4 shall be the 4 kingdoms from which the empire of Alexander the Great was divided: Greece, Asia Minor, Syria, and Egypt. We also know that the little horn is to rise out of one of these 4 kingdoms, which kingdom will be revealed later in Daniel chapter 11. We are told that the king represented by the little horn will be a king of fierce countenance, a king who understands dark sentences. By that we know that he will be a revealer of secret things, possessing the power and wisdom of Satan himself. In Ezekiel 28, we learn that the anointed cherub that covereth was perfect in wisdom, and he is still very wise. He knows much, much more that we give him credit for knowing, and is more powerful than we have realized. This little horn, the king of first countenance, will stand up against Jesus Christ, referred to as the Prince of Princes, and will bring his transgression to the full. Then he, the little horn we know as the Antichrist, shall be as a rock broken without a hand. He will drink the cup of indignation to the last bitter dregs. He will fill to its fullness the cup of ungodliness, unrighteousness, and debauchery. But he will be broken and destroyed without the assistance of man. Jesus Christ will personally take care of the destruction of the little horn of Daniel, the Antichrist of the New Testament. In 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 8, we learn that the Lord Jesus will consume him with the spirit of his mouth. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Daniel chapter 9 is one of the most important chapters in the book of Daniel. In the very beginning of the chapter, we learn the time or the date of the vision of the 70 weeks, which were determined upon Israel and the holy city. And it is very important to see this. Daniel was taken as a captive in his youth and has been in Babylon most of his life until the circumstances of chapter 9, which was probably 68 years after the captivity of Israel and 2 years before the 70 years prophesied by Jeremiah the prophet were completed. This could make Daniel over 80 years old at the time of the visions of chapter 9. Daniel tells us that it was in the first year of the reign of Darius the Mede over the Babylonian Empire, was probably about 538 BC. In our next lesson, number 9, we begin in Daniel chapter 9 with his fervent, extended 21-day prayer regarding personal sin, and also for sins and rebellion of his nation Israel. He also gave confession of sin and petitioned to God for the fulfillment of Jeremiah's prophecy of completion of the 70 years and release of the captive nation, and their return to restore Jerusalem and the national presence in the promised land God had promised to Abraham as an eternal inheritance. We trust you will be diligent to tune in for lesson 9 of Foundations of Truth and remain in prayer for the power of God to rest upon and work within and through these lessons in these most important foundational Bible truths. We will join here, same place, same station on YouTube, for our next lesson as we continue to examine Foundations of Truth, the Bible speaks.